What university admins need security and why? What are you doing that you need security? Seriously, what are you doing? What are you seriously doing? Tonight, Roda's Road to Riches rolls in reverse. Roll. It's a race war. Well, technically, it's an ethnic skirmish, and no, this ain't got a thing to do with Palestine. Let me get this straight. So I can harass someone to the point of self-deletion, and I can still get paid admin leave? I'll be right back. I need to make a phone call. You're tired of Hollywood stories, and we've heard you. So see these stories and more of what we're talking about on this week's episode of The Black Men Show. Welcome to the BS. Now let's go. What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Black Men Show, a place where we can take a look at the news with a little bit of 7 cents. But with no further ado, let's get into the venue. Okay, first up, we're going to talk about a woman who became famous, or maybe even infamous, for allegedly taking it straight to the face, but not in the way you might think. Roda Osman, PhD student and raving lunatic, originally from Somalia, now living in Texas by way of Minneapolis when she came into the United States in 2021, I believe. This 33-year-old woman claimed that she was assaulted by a man who hit her with a brick after she turned down his advances outside a club in September of last year. She posted a picture of her bruised face on social media along with a sob story that went viral, right? Sparking all sorts of outrage and sympathy from thousands of people online.
Yo, this man just hit me in my face with a brick and all these black men just watched.
This video with more than 1 million likes on the Shade Room's Instagram page captured the moments after what appeared to be a brutal attack in West Houston.
Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face?
The woman is 33-year-old Roda Osman.
She told the detective that responded that she was hit in the head with a brick after she refused to give her phone number to a guy on the street.
And was that verified by any of the evidence that detectives looked at?
No, that was not verified.
So a GoFundMe page was set up for raising over $40,000 in donations from more than 1,000 people who wanted to help her recover from the traumatic ordeal. And she also received messages of support from celebrities, politicians, and activists, all who were praising her for being brave and strong, But there was one small problem.
That was a fucking lie.
Yeah, it turns out that Roda Osman was not a victim of a brutal attack, but a master of a fraudulent scheme. Now, according to the police who reviewed surveillance footage of the incident, Osman was actually the one who slapped the man first, and he retaliated by hitting him back with the water bottle that he had in his hand. Now, there was no brick. So let's get that first set. There was no brick involved, all right? There was no attempted kidnapping either, and there was no heroic escape. Just mutual combat, as the Houston police called it, that may have left a mark on her face. And I say may have because this was not the first time that Osman had pulled off such a stunt. And when I say stunt, I'm talking about the false accusation part. Oh! And the brick part. You see, in 2020, she did the exact same thing in Minnesota, where the Somalian refugee accused another man of assaulting her with a brick and set up another GoFundMe page that raised over $20,000. She also had a history of scamming people on dating apps where she would lure men into sending her money and gifts and then ghost them. Now, most recently, Osman was charged with felony theft by deception and is currently on the run from the authorities, who have issued a warrant for her arrest. The GoFundMe page, thankfully, has been removed and all the donors have been refunded. But I think the damage has already been done.
Assalamu alaikum. Rhoda here to remind you that every time you lie to somebody, you're taking away their choice. You're taking away the ability for them to make a decision that's good for themselves. And that's why I always lie to the people of the global minority and men.
Now, you may be wondering, how could so many people fall for such an obvious lie? I mean, how could they blindly believe a woman who had no evidence, no witnesses, no credibility, and they ignored the facts, the common sense, the logic? And they wanted to believe that a man is evil sooner than they wanted to believe that a woman could be. They wanted to believe that Rhoda was a victim simply because it fit their narrative of a world where women are constantly oppressed and harassed by men and where they need to be protected and supported by society, which they actually do and which actually does happen. But they wanted to believe that the phrase "believe all women" was a valid and noble principle that would empower and liberate women from the patriarchy. And it seems like they wanted to believe that they were doing the right thing by showing solidarity and compassion to a fellow human being. But as we have seen, this kind of blind belief can lead to serious consequences. Have we learned nothing from Amber Heard's cautionary tale of dog shit, beds, and stepping on bees? Oh, and the part where she was trying to completely destroy somebody that she was actively destroying? I mean, it can lead to all kinds of things. False accusations, wrongful convictions, wasted resources, and damaged reputations. It can also undermine the credibility and legitimacy of the real victims of violence and abuse who deserve justice and respect. Now, if you were to juxtapose this with the case of Aaron Quinn. Now, TLDR, I'll do my best to get through this real quick. But basically, him and his then girlfriend, Denise Huskins, were in their horrendous and real case that the cops, for whatever reason, decided to overlook, right? I feel like I have to emphasize that they were actually assaulted. She was kidnapped, and he reported it. What happened though? Actually, the cops initially blamed Aaron for a hoax, put no effort into searching for his girlfriend, only for the one who did the assault to show more compassion for his victims than the cops. Now, it's a wild story that you can check out on Netflix's American Nightmare, but it just shows you what can happen on the opposite side of things, right? Rhoda's isn't an isolated case. I mean, there have been many examples of women who have lied about being assaulted or AR'd for various reasons. I mean, such as revenge, attention, or fame. Some of them have been exposed, some of them haven't. Some have faced legal consequences, and some of them haven't. And some have apologized. The truth is, women are not saints, and men are not devils. Women can lie, and men can tell the truth. Women can be perpetrators, and men can be victims. Is that okay to say? I hope I'm not being too controversial in saying that, all right? I mean, the fact is, it can go both ways. And isn't that the equality that we all really want? Now, look, I'm just saying, the only way to find out who's who and what's what is to look at the evidence. That's the only way to make this world a better place, honestly. I mean, again, that is what we want, right? But that's where I'm gonna leave this one. Trust, I tried my hardest to keep from going too far in on this woman and just wanted to present the facts, sans the heavy commentary. I hope I did a good job. Because I just felt like there's too many arguments being made that are full of emotion and really lacking in the facts and logic department. But let me know what your thoughts are on Miss Osman. Do you think that she's a victim or the villain? I'd love to know your thoughts in that comment section. Hit me up. So next up is a story that is absolutely insane, and it also comes from Minneapolis, same place where Rhoda ended up when she was a refugee. Now, not that they're connected, because they're not. But just kind of a coincidence that both these stories came out around the same time. But yeah, it's in Minneapolis where a massive brawl broke out at a high school between Black and Somali students, and even some parents for good measure. Now, according to reports, the fight started just last week on Thursday, January 18th, at St. Louis Park High School, where a group of Black students and Somali students had a previous argument that escalated into a physical altercation, right? Now, the school said that the first incident was broken up by teachers and staff, but the situation got worse at the end of the day when some adults who were not employees of the school became involved in another fight with some of the students. Now, you got videos on social media showing the chaos and violence that ensued, with students and adults punching, kicking, and throwing each other to the ground. Now, some of the students said that the fight was not racially motivated, but rather a personal beef, while others said that there was tension and discrimination back and forth between the Black and Somali communities at the school. Now, just for a little bit of background information for y'all, there was a previous ruling that took the police officers out of the schools because of their inability to see children, especially the Black ones, you know, these, as anything but criminals. So they were replaced with the equivalent of basically, you know, what amounts to an adult hall monitor, officially called the junior resource officers.
Of the world, Craig. Shit, not just the city, the world.
and their job is to patrol the school area and then report anything they see to the police. So the police were called to the scene where they ended up arresting 2 adults. One, Miss Abriha Annalisa Smith, 22. Interestingly enough, Abriha, I hope I'm saying it right, so I don't speak Arabic, but it's an Arabic word that actually means her father. So I just thought that was interesting. So we got Abriha, and then we have Latoy's Renale Milan. And just looking at it, the name looks and sounds like somebody that was not the most, I want to say, literate at the time. Both of these women were arrested for their rush to go and fight kids, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Both Smith and Milan had outstanding warrants for other crimes and subsequently were released from custody within hours without being held on bail. So I feel like I need to share this story real quick because it's kind of related. So I went to Chicago for a weekend to go for a class reunion. Didn't end up making it because it was really raining, couldn't see where I was going. Ultimately ended up cutting off a cop. Cop pulls me over. Hey, what are you doing? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I just couldn't see. He says, okay, license, registration, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking I'm fine. License, registration. Here you go, fine. Seems I have a warrant still in Illinois from when I lived there 15 years ago, 16 years ago. So go through that whole thing and all that rigmarole. End up having to spend the whole weekend in prison. The whole weekend. Sorry, in the county jail, however you want to look at it. So spent the weekend in jail for an old warrant that wasn't even a real warrant. Yet these women were allowed to get out, no problem. Just seems weird. And just for a little bit of more information, so you had Smith with a warrant for theft of services, and then you have Milan with a felony warrant for assault with a deadly weapon. Both of them had a history of criminal records, and both of them were related to some of the students who were involved in the fight. Now, Milan was the mother of Sanaya Milan, a black student who said that she was attacked by dozens of Somali students earlier that day. And Smith is the aunt of Jamal Smith, a Somali student who said that he was defending himself from the black students who started the fight. Who knows who threw the first punch, honestly. Now, this raises a lot of questions, like why were they not taken into custody before? I mean, of course, the whole fight thing aside, I get it. It's teens, they're in school. Sometimes fights gonna happen, especially when you got people from different communities. I went to a mixed school in Chicago. I know about that. It happens. We didn't have them, thankfully, we didn't have them hardly ever, but I know that they could happen. You know that they can happen, especially when you have different people of different ethnicities and they all poor. Oh yeah, stuff's gonna happen. So why are they being released so quickly and without bail after being charged with such serious crimes? And why are they not being held accountable for their actions? And see, this is where I want to pass off a couple of questions your way. First of all, what do you think about the story and the way it was handled by the authorities, right? Do you think that this is a case of racial violence as reported, or is this ethnic? I mean, because last I checked, aren't black and African people part of the same race? I mean, isn't that where they try to put us? We all the same race, right? I mean, it's and to that I started wondering, okay, so is that little flub, mixing, maybe conflating ethnicity for race, as one tends to do, I guess. Do you think that was intentional, to make it seem as if they suddenly couldn't determine the difference between race and ethnicity? I mean, is it a race war that's going on in Palestine? Is it a race war that's going on in Ukraine? But black on black, race war, gotta be. So I seriously wonder, what are you saying and what are you not saying here? Seriously. And lastly, what do you think about the adults who got involved? Should they be punished more severely, or do you think that they were justified in their actions? Let me know your thoughts in those comments. So I wanted to thank you all for checking out the live show I did a couple of weeks ago, my Ask a Black Man segment, talking about that Cat Williams interview on Club Shay Shay. So far, it's one of my highest viewed long form videos, and I gotta think, even with the allure of the subject matter, maybe, just maybe, I had a little something to do with that too. I can dream, can I? So if that's the case, please be sure to join us this Friday when we run it back with one of my brothers to discuss some selfishness in Black Hollywood. But with that said, be sure to hit that like, hit the sub, crack that notification bell, and of course, share this with your mama. You know she missed me. Tell her I said what's up. And real quick, we got some great gear created for you at theblackmanshow.com with some pretty amazing and new in-house designs guaranteed to suit your penchant for apparel. Be sure to grab you some after the show, but right now, let's go. Now, I don't know if you heard about this, but there's been an absolute tragedy at the historically black university, Lincoln University, in Jefferson City, right here in Missouri, where an administrator took her own life after allegedly being bullied by the school's president. So we've got Antoinette Bonnie Candia Bailey, who was the vice president of student affairs. She died by, can I say the S-side, I guess? I don't know. She died by self-deletion on January 8th, just days after receiving a termination letter from President John Mosley. So the letter accused her of insubordination, allowing ineligible students to work and get discounted housing, and violating confidentiality in a grievance matter. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds to me like a lot of bullshit. I mean, how can you fire somebody for helping students in need? And what kind of confidentiality breach are we talking about here? Did she leak the president's secret recipe for his infamous mac and cheese or peach cobbler, some goofy shit? Or maybe she exposed his shady dealings with the board of curators, who apparently have no problem with him running the school like a damn dictatorship. Now, according to Candia Bailey's family and friends, she was a dedicated stepmother and beloved member of the Lincoln community who had a passion for education and social justice. She was also an alleged victim of Mosley's harassment and intimidation, which created a hostile work environment and affected her mental health. Now, Mosley, on the other hand, is a white man who was hired in 2022 to lead at HBCU despite having no experience in working with black students or faculty. As a matter of fact, he is one of 2 white administrators who are leading HBCUs at this time. The other one being, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a university in West Virginia. And I mean, since black people have a tendency to gravitate more towards bigger cities and metropolises, it kind of makes sense. I mean, what's in West Virginia, for real? And that's not a shot at West Virginia. I don't know. I only been there once and I drove through and I felt nervous the whole time. Quit playing, go on somewhere. Y'all know what y'all do, quit playing. He's been accused of making racist and sexist remarks, micromanaging and undermining his staff, and ignoring the needs and concerns of the campus. He also has been criticized for his lavish spending on travel, entertainment, and personal security. Who the hell needs personal security as a president of a freaking university? I'm sorry, Claudine Gay, did she need that at Harvard? Did anybody else? What university admins need security like that? And why? What are you doing that you need security? Seriously, what are you doing? What are you seriously doing? And he was doing all that while he was cutting budgets and programs for academics and student services. Now, in response to the public outcry and student protests following Candia Bailey's death, Mosley agreed to go on paid leave pending a third-party investigation. What the actual hell? I mean, okay, but many of the school's 1,800 students and its alumni group are calling for his termination. They say he's done irreparable damage to the reputation and morale of the institution, and he does not represent the values and mission of Lincoln University. So let me get this straight, right? A quote, angry black woman, end quote, who devoted her life to serving and uplifting a historically black college is dead by self-deletion, and a white man who has done nothing but harm and disrespect the same college is on paid leave? Does that sound fair to you? Does that sound like justice? Does that sound like America? Well, wait, hold on a second. Actually, it does sound like America, right? I mean, but it shouldn't. That's the point. I mean, it shouldn't. It should sound like a nightmare that we need to wake up from. And the only way to do that is to hold people like Mosley accountable for their actions and to support people like Candia Bailey and the students and faculty at Lincoln University who are fighting for change. I'm just sad that this woman had to lose her life for this story to come out. But I have to leave it there for now and just ask you the question that really hit me as somebody who's currently living in Missouri. Why isn't this news? I mean, sure, I've seen it on CNN and the cable stations and all that, but locally, if it ain't the Chiefs, the weather, or the fucking Ferris wheel, it seems we're woefully left behind with regard to actually knowing what's going on. And then they wonder why them recent tax assessments and all that stuff was an absolute cluster. All right, y'all, I'm gonna show you this, and I'll be right back.
came in here without that jacket on. Yeah, he did.
That baby just had a pamper on.
That's all he got on.
I can't. Chrissy. Yeah, don't do that. Somebody call police. No, what's wrong with you? Somebody call police on her. Who are you? Lower your voice. Who are you? Get out that man face, please.
The fuck? You're crazy.
What the hell? Somebody call police on her.
Go ahead, see, it's already been called 2 times. I keep passing. As long as you got hot water, fire extinguisher.
But when you come in the store fully dressed and your baby's not.
Now, I'm going to call the cops right now. How many kids do you got?
I got one.
Right now. Oh, okay. So, that's my end. So, you sorry,
She just sad. That's just sad.
Now, what the actual hell is going on? Just for a little bit of reference, this was January. This was just last week in Jackson, Mississippi. So you're thinking, okay, it's Jackson, Mississippi. It don't get that cold in Jackson, Mississippi, Seven. First of all, this is the freezer section of a grocery store. It's always cold. I don't care where you are, what time of year it is. It's always cold in the freezer section, or always colder in the freezer section of any grocery store that I've been to. So I haven't been to them all. Maybe it's like a sauna in some of them. I don't know. Kind of hard to keep the food fresh and frozen when you got a sauna going on next to it, but maybe it works somehow. Maybe somebody figured out the math, right? But I want you to know, again, January 17th, Jackson, Mississippi, you can Google this. The temperatures that day, there was a high of 37. The high was 37 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 27. Now, even if we didn't know the temperature, even if we didn't know the day of the week, even if we didn't know the date, just judging by the way that everybody else around is dressed, it's fucking cold. And to be honest, I just hate seeing stuff like this, and I really hate when it's us. It's not always us, so it's not like that. But I just hate when it's us because for me, I feel it more. I really do. So it seems that basically this woman came into a grocery store fully dressed, wearing the coat that you see the baby having draped around him while he's sitting in the shopping cart. God only knows how cold the shopping cart is that he's freaking riding around in. And he was only wearing a diaper at the time. So she brings him into the store. She's fully dressed. She's fully fucking dressed. Hair bonnet, coat, sweater, whatever she had under that, jeans, boots. This baby has on a fucking diaper. Does that look the same to anybody? I'm just, honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just glad that, one, that the sister recorded it and that you could see that other people decided to step in and, cover this child and help him out. And unfortunately, it seems like this worker whose name was Felicia Nicole was fired for posting the video. So she posted the video. She got like a bunch of hits or a bunch of views on it in about an hour. And once her boss started realizing what was going on, he said, "Hey, take it down." She said, "Okay." She took it down. Next 2 days, she was off. She goes into work the next day. With 2 hours left in her shift, she's fired. And honestly, I think she was being fired for doing the Lord's work. To them, I guess in the store, it seems like because it was filmed in the store that they had a problem with it. And I'm like, okay, so does that mean you're gonna sue every random kid that's going down the aisles making TikTok videos in the produce aisle? You know what I'm saying? So if you're not gonna pursue those kids, how are you gonna pursue your employee? Just because you know him? I get it. You pay this person, but does it say it? Now, if it says somewhere in the employment agreement, you can't have your phone on, you can't be posting videos, blah, blah, blah. No, that stuff, I get it. But if it didn't say anything like that in the contract anywhere, whatever store this was, you guys just screwed yourselves. I'll just say that. Personally, I think this woman should sue. And honestly, I wish the mother was as insightful as all the people around this child seem to be. I mean, how do you Again, you are wearing a full outfit and this child is basically naked. And this is in public, okay? I can only imagine what's going on in private, you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, this is just sad. This is really sad. I mean, because sites like this remind me of the people at the crib that I used to see back in Chicago. You're going to hear Chicago a lot, I'm sorry. But honestly, it reminded me of when they were kicking people out of the projects in Chicago, which were closer to downtown, and moving them way out to the suburbs. And you could see pretty quickly, because I had relatives who lived in the suburbs, and, you know, just as you kind of going down the street, driving, whatever, and you see like different apartments, homes, and all that, you know, sometimes you just see that. And then I'll put it like this, you could absolutely tell who did and who didn't know how to run a household. And you know what I'm saying? Because it was blatantly apparent. Like when you're in the projects, I guess you're inculcated, you're in this small space. Everything that's happening happens within that space. So only people who know what's going on in that space are in that space with you. Whereas now you're in a neighborhood, an actual neighborhood in the suburbs, and you're just living on a block like everybody else lives on a block. Well, are you sitting there with bed sheets and curtains and got a mattress in your living room floor? People gonna see that. But I just wonder, like, what as an employee or as an employer, I get it, you're in grocery business, your job isn't social work, but seriously, as a person with a heart, what do you think this woman should have done? What would you do? What would you do? Would you say something and potentially face a backlash like this young lady did, or stay silent and let abuse just happen with you just watching? I mean, are you cool with that being on your conscience? You cool with that? Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm not. I'll tell you right now, I'm not. And it's a bad position, and I feel like if you are not going to take any care necessary to have the child, then maybe you shouldn't have the child. I'm gonna just leave it like that. So the mother has since been arrested, but the woman who reported it has since been ridiculed. And as somebody who herself has lost her own child, she wasn't there for them games, you know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, she was about more action than that kid's mother was, and that's really the sad part. But I'll just leave it there for y'all. Y'all let me know what you think of that one in the comments down below. And lastly, we come across a simple story of a woman who decided to go on a shopping spree with a twist. That twist being that she didn't pay for anything, and she took a cart full of Stanley Cups and walked out the damn store. And no, I'm not talking about the stainless steel hockey trophy. I'm talking about the stainless steel drinking cups that have become a viral sensation thanks to the social medias and its push to make you a conspicuous consumer. You know, just buying shit for the sake of telling others that you bought it in that weird in-crowd shit. Now, speaking of in crowds, I will say it's hella interesting that I was not able to find this woman's name anywhere. Now, while I can actually say that's a good thing, in that you can see how a department can show that they have some restraint from just going to sell out somebody for the sake of virality, it's also showing the blatant disregard using all the copious others whose names shouldn't have been released, but was leaked anyway. I digress. Now, according to the Roswell Police Department in California, the woman stole 65 Stanley products worth nearly $2,500 from a store on Wednesday. She refused to stop for the staff and stuffed her car with the stolen merchandise. An officer spotted her vehicle on a highway, pulled her over. Now, she was arrested and charged with grand theft. And at a time when retailers are told and tell their employees not to pursue shoplifters, maybe this woman thought that she had carte blanche, you know? But I don't know. I have a lot of questions about this story. First of all, why the Stanley Cups? I mean, look, I get the virality of the story of the young woman whose car was destroyed in the fire back in November. The only thing that survived was a Stanley Cup and the ice in it. I get it. And that was after a fire. So, yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh shit, the cups are badass. Right. But it's not like Stanley is the best cup available. I mean, the price runs more than a tank of gas and sells out damn near every time they come out with a new color, while there are better and cheaper versions available. I mean, they're not like the PS7 or the iPhone 20. It's just cups. It's a fucking cup. And it's not even that fancy. They're just metal cups to keep your drinks hot or cold. That's it. Is this the hill? Is this really the hill that was worth dying on or going to jail for? Was this it? I really want to know if I ever get this woman's name. I wish I could, or someone would ask her Was it worth it? Something else I was thinking was, how did she think she was going to get away with it? I mean, was she planning on cornering the black market and selling them at a hellified markup? I mean, I have seen some as high as $300 on some sites. Now, was she planning on drinking from them all at once or rotating them every day? I mean, what was her end game? All I know is that this woman made a very bad decision that landed her in a lot of hot water. And for what? Some cops? Some stupid cops? I can think of better reasons to get arrested. But with that, this has been The Blackman Show. And once again, I have been Seven Blackman, and you can get a coffee mug, a hoodie, or a shirt like this in our merch store found at theblackmanshow.com. And you can also find it in the description. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Share this with all your baby mamas and their mamas and their mamas, baby mamas, and all of them as we continue to grow this thing out. One of y'all might be my 250th sub, and we got a little something special for that sub to show our appreciation. So be sure to check me out this weekend for the Ask a Blackman segment, and of course, you can follow the show on all the socials at Show the Blackman. Thank you for watching this far. If you like this one, get caught up on some of our earlier shows and episodes. Go buy yourself a shirt. I appreciate each and every one of you. So please, until next time, take care of each other. Peace, and I'm out.